Welcome to today's explainer. When we think of the Earth, we usually just picture a giant rock floating in space. But in Hindu traditions, it's completely different. The Earth is a living, breathing, incredibly complex personification of nature itself. So today, we're going to unpack the fascinating dual identity of the Earth goddess. We'll be looking at her vital relationship with the god Vishnu and the deep symbolic importance of the very ground we walk on. To really wrap our heads around this, we've got to start with a basic question. How did ancient traditions personify the ground beneath our feet? Who actually represents the earth in these massive, epic narratives? Well, the answer is Bhumi, also known as Bhumi Devi. She is this central, powerful goddess who physically embodies the planet itself. Now, her earliest form traces way back to the Vedic goddess Prithvi, but over time, her roles and attributes evolved in a huge way. By the time we get to post-Vedic texts like the Puranas and epics, she emerges as the ultimate symbol of motherhood, femininity, and straight-up fertility. And honestly, you can tell just how important she is by how many names she goes by. Depending on the ancient text you're reading, she might be called Dharani, Vasundhara, Prithvi, or Vishwambari. But here's the thing. All these titles point right back to her core identity. She is the sustainer of life and the literal, unshakable foundation of the entire world. All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with personifying the earth, then visualizing nature's bounty. After that, we'll look at the rescuer and the consort, taming the earth cow, her avatars and offspring, and finally celebrating Mother Earth.
Okay, jumping right into Section 1, personifying the Earth, the cosmic foundation.
Take a look at how she's visually anchored to the world itself here. In a lot of traditional art, Bhumi Devi is seated on a platform that rests squarely on the backs of 4 massive elephants. And these elephants aren't just there to look cool, they actually represent the 4 cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. So she is literally supported by the compass of the globe.
Moving right along to Section 2, visualizing nature's bounty, symbols of life.
So when you see her depicted with 4 arms, check out what she's holding. It's basically the ultimate survival kit for humanity. She's got a pomegranate, a water vessel, a bowl of healing herbs, and a bowl of vegetables, right? She's literally holding the water we drink, the food that keeps us going, and the medicine that heals us. It's this really powerful visual reminder of just how much we depend on nature every single day.
Now, sometimes you'll see her shown with just 2 hands instead. And in these versions, she's usually holding a night-blooming blue lotus called a kumuda. Her other hand, it's forming the Abhya Mudra, which is this really beautiful, reassuring gesture of fearlessness and protection. It's kind of telling us, hey, she isn't just an agricultural resource. She's a divine, protective mother, actively watching out for us.
Let's jump into Section 3, the rescuer and the consort, the Varaha myth. Okay, this is one of her most dramatic and famous myths. Way back in the first eon, the Satya Yuga, the earth was being completely terrorized by this evil demon named Hiranyaksha. And get this, he actually kidnapped Bhumi and dragged her way down, hiding her deep within the primordial cosmic waters. This massive cosmic theft really sets the stage for a dramatic divine intervention. Because, the earth obviously can't just stay stuck underwater in total chaos. So the gods are pleading for help, and Vishnu actually answers the call. He takes the form of Varaha, this giant anthropomorphic boar. The Padma Purana has this incredible description where Varaha strikes down the demon, dives into the dark depths, and gently lifts the earth right up on his tusks to bring her to safety. And then, following this epic rescue, Vishnu and Bhumi actually get married. This completely cements her role as someone who relies on Vishnu's avatars and permanently establishes her as his divine consort. Next up is Section 4, Taming the Earth Cow, the myth of King Prithu. Now, this is a really fascinating shift in the power dynamic. Here, humanity is literally starving because the earth has gotten angry and completely withdrawn all her vegetation. So Vishnu's avatar, Emperor Prithu, decides he has to take action. He furiously chases Bhumi, and she actually flees in the shape of a cow. Eventually, she submits. But the cool part is, she isn't defeated. Instead, she allows Prithu to milk her, and this milking is what restores vegetation and life to the world. It's this incredible metaphor for the invention of agriculture, right? It shows how humanity has to actively work and sometimes even tame the earth if we want to survive. Let's dive into Section 5, avatars and offspring, a complex lineage.
Bhumi's mythological family tree is honestly wild. It's incredibly diverse. First, you have Narkasura, who is actually a super powerful, arrogant demon born directly from the earth. Then there's Mangala, who is her son with the Varaha avatar. And then, perhaps the most famous of all, Sita, the wife of Lord Rama. Now, Sita wasn't born in the usual way. King Janaka actually found her in a furrow while he was plowing a field. She literally emerged straight out of the ground, making her Bhumi's daughter.
But it's not just her kids. Bhumi herself incarnates as human avatars to step into earthly affairs. And the contrast here is just mind-blowing. On one hand, we've got Satyabhama. Remember that arrogant demon son we just talked about, Narakasura? Well, he had a magical boon that said only his mother could kill him. So what happens? Bhumi incarnates as the fierce warrior Satyabhama, marries Krishna, rides into battle, and literally beheads her own son with a discus just to restore cosmic order. Wild, right? But then, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, we have Andal. Andal was an 8th century saint found hiding under a basil plant. She grew up with such intense, pure devotion to Vishnu that she flat out refused to marry anyone but the god himself, eventually merging with him at the Srirangam temple. So you have a fierce warrior fulfilling a bloody prophecy on one side, and the ultimate symbol of peaceful spiritual devotion on the other. And finally, we arrive at Section 6, celebrating Mother Earth, the Raja Parva Festival. Let's look at how this plays out in the real world today, specifically with the Raja Parva Festival in the eastern Indian state of Odisha. This is a gorgeous 3-day festival that marks the arrival of the life-giving monsoon rains. But at its very core, it is a direct celebration of Bhumi Devi. It completely honors the essence of womanhood, fertility, and agriculture. And during this festival, you can really see the deep respect they have for the earth in everyday practice. The belief is that Bhumi Devi is actually going through a period of rest and regeneration, which is symbolic of menstruation, before she brings out the new harvest. So to respect her slumber, all agricultural work totally stops. Nobody is allowed to dig the earth. Women and girls who are viewed as living embodiments of the goddess don't even walk barefoot on the ground. Instead, they wear these bright new clothes, they paint their feet with a red dye called alta, eat special baked rice cakes called podapitha, and just spend the days playing on these elaborate flower-laced swings. It is a literal society-wide pause just to give the earth a well-deserved break. As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a thought. We just saw how an entire culture literally stops digging just to let the earth rest. If modern society actually adopted this ancient perspective, personifying the earth not just as this endless resource to be exploited, but as a living, breathing, resting mother who genuinely requires our care and respect, how drastically would that change our relationship with the environment today? Think about that the next time you step outside. Thanks for hanging out with me on this deep dive, and as always, keep asking questions.